Tonight's top five video was actually a super chat goal that was unlocked during last month's live Q&A via the super chat sweepstakes. So I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody who participated, thank everybody who contributed, and thanks everyone who helped unlocking that super chat goal. But if you have a request for a top five list that you would like to see done right here on OAW Entertainment, become a patron at patreon.com/OAW and select the top five tier. In in addition to your request for a top five list, you also get access to all Patreon exclusive content, the OAW Vault, and you get an invite to join in on the next live monthly Q&A. So once again, that is patreon.com/OAW and select the top five tier. And with that being said, this is going to be my list of my top five favorite kids WB shows. Let's get it started.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Greetings to everyone watching live and everyone watching after the fact. Shout out to the faithful and salute to the patrons. This is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm here to bring you all another top five video. And let me pull up my screen share now. Got me slipping. But yeah, today we are going to go ahead and I'm pretty much going to give you all my list of my top five favorite kids WB shows / cartoons / anime / programs. As I mentioned before, this was this was one of the topics. I forget who it was that suggested this topic. I forget which one of the faithful did it, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, cool. That's kind of interesting. But it was one of the topics that was suggested. And once again, you guys know how we do with the super chat sweepstakes. For all the suggestions I get, I add to the wheel. If we reach that goal, what I do is I spin the wheel that has all of the topics for that segment mentioned, and this was the one that was selected. So I'm going to go ahead, give you all my list. Please feel free in the comments below, share your thoughts on some of the series I'm going to be talking about, share some of your list as well. Also, if you guys have any questions or comments you want to make sure that I answer before the end of tonight's broadcast, please feel free to drop me a super chat and I will make sure to get to that before tonight's stream wraps up. If you want to support the channel via Cash App or PayPal, you can also do that as well. Links to both of those are in the description box below. All right, so real quick, I'm gonna open this, kind of open this up with a little bit of a I guess you could say an introduction, if you will. But yeah, so funny thing is, it's kids WB. I think I suffice it to say I feel confident enough saying that it was my favorite Saturday morning cartoon block. Like it really was. It really was. I mean, I went through my phases, like when I was, really, really little, it was all about Fox, right? Fox Saturday morning, that was my jam. And then when I got a little bit older, like mid-grade school, third, fourth grade or whatever, it was ABC, Disney One Saturday morning, right? On ABC, right? But by the time I got into like fifth grade, by the time I was like 10, when I hit the double digits, it was Kids WB. It was Kids WB. And yeah, I had my Fox phase when I was like later on, when I was like in middle school and whatnot, because they had like Sonic X, Shaman King, they had a lot of shows I wanted to the TMNT series from '03. So they had a lot of shows that I was into at the time. But by and large, it's like Kids WB was always sort of like a mainstay with me throughout pretty much throughout my entire adolescence. Kids WB was my jam. And so I'm pretty much going to give y'all my top five. And I got some honorable mentions for you all tonight as well. So check that out. All right. But let's go ahead and let's get this thing started. All right. So starting off the list at number five, my number five all-time favorite Kids WB show is going to be none other than Freakazoid. Yes. I don't even know if some of you cats remember this show. I don't even know, because I got a lot of young viewers, and I'm like, man, this was already off the air before some of y'all were even born, man. I don't know if y'all remember Freakazoid, man. All right, so let me talk a little bit about Freakazoid. So essentially what Freakazoid is what the series is. It is both a superhero spoof series, right? Like superhero satire, but it is also it's also like a television spoof. So Essentially what it is, essentially what it is, Freakazoid is a comedy series that follows the exploits of a teenage superhero, right? But it does so in the manner of, it's like, oh, the show is following him, so it is very much like a show, because it's very meta. There is a lot of I mean, Freakazoid breaks the fourth wall all the time, actually, now that I think about it, because it's shot almost as if it's like a live studio audience thing, right? um so yeah, so while that's happening, right? So while we have, the whole television spoof bit, because they bring up stuff about, like the writers and the producers, and the characters will essentially, okay, so the characters will quote unquote break character to where it's like, oh, they're like actors working together, but they're still very much like in character, you know what I mean? So you have that going on, but then they are still, shooting a show where it's like, oh, it's about this superhero and his adventures and his supervillains and all that type of jazz. So all in all, dude, the show's hilarious. The show's hilarious, and I instantly liked Freakazoid. Like, I think from the first commercial I saw, I was like, I was like, what is that? And I instantly loved it. It's, oh my god, it's so funny. It's so funny. But yeah, surprisingly, here's another thing a lot of people don't know about Freakazoid. This is a Bruce Timm and Paul Dini production. Yeah, the same team that gave us, Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League, all that jazz. Yeah, this is one of theirs. This was a series they developed in the mid 90s, around the time when Steven Spielberg came on over at Warner Brothers, and he started executing producing a lot of these animated series. So this pretty much was developed around the same time as like Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, like those mid 90s WB cartoons. Yeah, that's where this came from. And but yeah, man, like I said, it's just really, it's really funny. It's really funny. I love it. Once again, like I said, I love how meta it is. Like, I love how self-aware it is, because it it uses that vehicle for so much of its comedy. Essentially, dude, let me break it down to you like this. Freakazoid was Deadpool before Deadpool. Now, granted, I think Deadpool was already like in the comics at the time, but I'm talking about in terms of like mainstream appeal. You know what I mean? Yeah, Freakazoid was pretty much doing what would essentially become Deadpool's shtick back in the mid 90s. You know what I mean? And but like I said, I think he's better at it. He's funnier at it. Of course, it's a children's series, so it's not vulgar or grotesque or overly sexual or anything like that. No, it's and here's the other thing too I want to talk about. I'm gonna mention this one last thing. Shout out to Movie Bob, because I remember he did a video talking about Freakazoid like years ago, and essentially what the video, I think the video was called what was it? It was the prophesizing of Freakazoid, something like that, right? And essentially, what Movie Bob's video was talking about in terms of Freakazoid is because the main crux of the series, like how Freakazoid, like his origin story, right? How he's created, is that a pretty much computer nerd gets sucked into the internet. And when he gets sucked into the internet, he consumes everything that's online and ends up becoming Freakazoid. And what's funny about that is, because this came out at the very beginning of what would eventually become the internet bubble, like the .com boom. Because, like I said, I think this is 95. Yeah, I think the show ran from 95 to 97, and the .com boom really took off in 97. So the thing is, there are a lot of jokes that if you were to watch this now, you would think like, it wouldn't occur to you that those jokes were actually ahead of their time. A lot of the commentary it makes about the internet, about what would eventually become internet culture. Dude, Freakazoid was doing the meme before memes were even a thing. Um, that one of the main characters in the series is Fanboy, right? And that whole shtick, right, about the character of Fanboy, that and that whole archetype, right, that stereotype of that character, dude, Freakazoid was doing that before that even became a mainstream thing. Because around that time, the only other time you were really seeing that like consistently was Comic Book Guy from The Simpsons. But other than that, unless it was a specific production like Revenge of the Nerds or something, you weren't seeing that. And like I said, dude, so much of that writing is ahead of its time. Where if you go back to that now, you'd be like, well, of course they make that type of joke. But remember, we're talking about a series that is what, 25 years old? Come on, bruh. Freakazoid was about it, man. Freakazoid was very much about it. But anyway, um, yeah. So real quick, some of my favorite episodes. Candlejack. Candlejack is one of my all-time favorites. Love that episode. Um, Ooh, I forget the full title, but it's the one where they go to the island and they find, the mad doctor, the mad genius or whatever. And yeah, it's kind of like the what's the name of that story? It's the island of Doctor something something. I forget his name. But they did, so it's a spoof of that, and it's a spoof of like Con Air because they're transporting all of the supervillains when they crash land on the island. So there's that whole thing. Um and then what is the name of the episode? It's the one with Jeepers, where he has the watch that can turn things into stone, right? And he uses it on squirrels, right? But eventually, what ends up happening is he gets into an altercation with Freakazoid, where Freakazoid's girlfriend gets turned into stone, and so they have to they have to attract Jeepers and this like Cthulhu-esque monster that he summoned all the way to like Venice Beach. Dude, it's, oh my god, it's so funny. It's so fun. That one might be my favorite episode because the gag. Oh my god, the home the homeless musician dude, the troubadour guy, him. And at the end of the series, at the end of the episode where Freakazoid just loses his shit on Jeepers. That one. And then I think this is in the pilot episode, Caveman's introduction, when he attacks the prom or the dance or whatever, the high school dance. And yeah, and it's Freakazoid's like first encounter with Caveman. Oh my god, the Caveman song, Low Bridge. Oh, YouTube that is hilarious. You will thank me later. Anyway, so yeah, that is why Freakazoid is number 5 on my list. Love that show. All right, so this should come as a surprise to nobody. I don't think it does. Maybe because it's so low on my list. Number 4 on my list is Pokemon. Um, so the main reason why Pokemon is this low on my list is because the Pokemon anime series is not my favorite property from this franchise. Because for those of y'all who know, I'm a huge like Pokemon gamer. The video game I'm talking about, not the card game, the video game. Um, though that's my favorite property of this franchise is the video games. But I mean, the anime was my gateway. Like the anime was my introduction to this franchise. Me and many of my peers, that's how we got started in Pokemon, was because of the anime. And of course, Indigo League, that's my favorite season because that's the one I came up with. That's the one that semi sort of is like the game. I think some of the later seasons actually follow their games a little bit more like faithfully, but all in all, it's I mean, what can I say about Pokemon that I haven't already said on camera, right? Actually, I did an anime favorites on Pokemon. I did a whole video talking about Pokemon, and I will link after tonight's stream. I'm going to go into the description box and link that anime favorites video. But you guys should check that out if you want my thoughts on the series. Like I said, I love Pokemon, been a fan ever since. And um and yeah, like I was following. Now, what's funny is though, I was actually introduced to Pokemon before Kids WB because I was introduced to Pokemon when I was in the 4th grade, so this was like the fall of 98, the fall of 98, and it used to come on UPN. And so that's how I was actually first introduced to it. But then, of course, Kids WB ended up picking it up, and that's when the Pokemon boom happened, when it started airing on Kids WB. Um, but yeah, I mean, do I still watch the Pokemon anime? No, I've kind of outgrown the anime, because Pokemon is one of those anime where like it's meant for its intended demographic, and it sticks to that, right? Like it's meant for the kids, it sticks to that. It didn't really grow with its audience, in the same way of something like Harry Potter, for an example, or I could make that argument for Avatar: The Last Airbender. I can definitely make that argument for Naruto. But like the series sort of gets a little bit more dramatic and more serious and a little darker in tone because its audience is growing up, right? Pokemon doesn't do that. They don't do that. And but that's okay though. That's okay. No beef with that. Yeah, like I said, I still have Indigo League, you know. Um, but yeah, I watched. So the main series of Pokemon I watched was Indigo League, and I'm including the Orange Islands in that, and then Johto Journeys, Johto League Champions, and Master Quest. Master Quest was the last one that I was like keeping up with, and yeah. So after because I think Master Quest is before Battle Frontier. Yeah, after Master Quest was when I pretty much like stopped keeping up with it. So, all right, moving on. I'm pretty sure everyone's going to know what my number 3 is. Yeah, number 3 on my list of my top 5 favorite kids WB shows is Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah. Yep. See, somebody had already got it. Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah. Now, funny enough, I also did an anime favorites on this series. I did a whole video dedicated to my love for Yu-Gi-Oh. But so another funny thing too, Yu-Gi-Oh was another series I actually saw before it aired on Kids WB because I remember I think it was a week or two, or maybe it was even a month before it officially aired on Kids WB. Cartoon Network actually screened the first 2 episodes. They did. Cartoon Network did a special preview, and I think it was on Toonami. I think it was a part of Toonami. They did a special preview of Yu-Gi-Oh before it premiered on Kids WB, and I remember because I actually recorded those episodes when they aired. But the thing was, like, they were already airing commercials for it and whatnot. They were already advertising for it. So I was looking forward to. I was waiting for this series, and lo and behold, it didn't disappoint. I love Duelist Kingdom. It is still my favorite season of the series. I love Duelist Kingdom. I love the duels in Duelist Kingdom. I love Pegasus. I think in many I mean, I like Merrick just fine, but honestly, I think Pegasus was always a better foil. Like he was always a better villain. I won't say foil. I'll say villain because to me, Kaiba was always the quintessential foil for Yugi, because he's the constant rival. But yeah, like yeah, I always liked Yu-Gi-Oh. I always like Yu-Gi-Oh. And here's the funny thing about it: the anime actually is my favorite property from this franchise because I actually like the anime better than the card game. And I was big into Yu-Gi-Oh cards, huge. In middle school, I was huge into that game. But the thing was, the game was so regulated. Because here's the thing, the funny thing about the game is, so in the anime, pre- pretty much only a small percentage of the cards in the series actually do the same thing in the actual card game. Most of the card game, I mean, I'm sorry, most of the cards in the card game have restrictions, so you can't play cards, in the TCG like you can in the series. Case in point, like you can tell a person who's never played the TCG before when they just try to, throw out a blue eyes white dragon. It's like, no, dude, you have to summon that. You have to summon that blue eyes white dragon. You can't just play that, you know. But that's the thing, dude. Like the card game has hard fixed rules, and it's very strict about it because the thing is, dude, like I never played like I never like went to like Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, let me rephrase that. I never participated in Yu-Gi-Oh TCG competitions. I've gone to a few as a spectator, but I've never like officially participated in one. Um, but I was pretty much playing to the point where I probably could have. Like I think I was actually good enough to hold my own competitively. But that's just the thing, man. Like eventually it got to the point where the card game was just a grind, you know? It was just a grind. Um that and the fact that they kept changing the rules. That's the other thing that kind of ticked me off about the card game. They would either revise rules or they kept adding new rules that kind of made the old ones redundant. I'm sorry, not redundant, superfluous. So actually, well, no, I did use that. I did use that correctly. Um, so yeah, but the anime, like I said, dude, the anime, Duelist Kingdom, even Battle City, I love those. Here's the other thing too, and I'm gonna throw this out here too, and this will pretty much wrap up my thoughts on this one. Here's the other thing too. I was a fan of the manga because I actually read. So what was funny was like, yeah, I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh throughout Duelist Kingdom and throughout Battle City, though there were some episodes of Battle City I actually saw before they aired on Kids WB. Essentially, the Battle City semis, the semis and the finals, I actually saw. I think I saw those on. I mean, it was a bootleg, definitely, because it was subbed. But I saw those before they came out, right? And yeah, because it was on DVD. Yeah, yeah. So it was a bootleg, right? But so what happened was it's like all of the fillers. So like Into the Shadow Realm, right? I skipped that. Waking the Dragons, I skipped that. But so yeah, when Waking the Dragons was airing on Kids WB, I was reading the manga. So I was reading Millennium World, I think 2 years before it aired on Kid. Well, no, no, yeah, 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 2 years, 2 years, because Millennium World did not air on Kids WB until my senior year in high school. I was reading Millennium World in the manga when I was a sophomore. So yeah, I had read that 2 years before the anime came out for it, stateside. I mean, and and yeah, I did enjoy the manga. I really really liked the manga because of course the manga was it was uncut, it was unedited, you know, because for kids they censored the shit out of everything. Um but yeah, like you know, it was, you know, actually allowed to be, you know, dark and whatnot. Because here's the thing, Yu-Gi-Oh is actually a pretty dark ass manga. You wouldn't know that from the series though, but it's actually pretty messed up. Okay. And yeah, I didn't care for any of the other series afterwards. I saw some of GX, but I didn't really. I was pretty much done after the main series. I didn't really bother with any of the other ones. I've seen some of GX. I've seen some of 5Ds. I've seen some of Zexal. None of them are as good as the first one, in my opinion. So there's that. Okay, so this one is actually going to be a surprise for a lot of people. Y'all ready for this? Number two on my top five favorite kids WB shows, Batman Beyond. Yeah, I'm pretty sure because there was some people I had already seen in the comments was like, oh yeah, Batman Beyond is number one. No, it's not. Batman Beyond is actually my number two. Um, I've never reviewed Batman Beyond, but I did do a top five favorite Batman Beyond episodes. Also, I will link in the description box below because I did do a video talking about the series and I list my top five favorite episodes from it. Batman Beyond is just so Batman Beyond was a show I watched from Jump Street, right? Watched it from Jump Street from, you know, the night it premiered. Ooh, you know what? So here's a funny thing about Batman Beyond. I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't remember this. Batman Beyond actually premiered on prime time. The what was it? Rebirth Part 1 and 2, right? the 2 episode pilot, they aired as a 1 hour special, and it aired prime time on the WB network. And so yeah, so ever since then I watched, I was instantly a fan of the series. As I've said multiple times, this is my Batman. Terry McGinnis is my Batman because that's the Batman I kind of like. Like when I say that's the Batman I grew up with. Was what I mean is that Batman I saw his entire journey. You know what I mean? Whereas, when I was a kid, of course, I grew up with Batman, but I grew up with Batman. But Batman's been around since what, 1939? I think Detective Comics, 1939. So it's like, Bruce Wayne's been here, done that. You dig? Terry McGinnis was new. Terry McGinnis was new, and that was a new character that I could latch onto, that I could see, take up the mantle, become Batman of the future. And dude, there are so many things about the series I like. I like how Bruce was kept in the series as both a mentor and secondary protagonist. Like, I dug that. In many respects, he is a dual protagonist. That first season is very much both Terry and Bruce's story. So I dug that. I love the fact that Terry had his own rogues gallery, because some of my favorite Batman villains, period, are from Terry's rogues gallery. I love Spellbinder. I love Spellbinder. I love Shriek. I think he's really cool. Ink is my girl, right? So um so yeah, so that I really dug. I dug Will Friedle's performance, of course, as Terry McGinnis, as the voice for Terry McGinnis. I thought he was awesome. Yeah, dude, just everything about the series. Batman Beyond Return of the Joker is one of my favorite animated films. Probably one of my favorite films, period, because I love that. Yeah, it's just an all round great show. Great show. So yeah, once again, I went into much more detail about it in my top 5 favorite Batman Beyond episodes. Check that out. Like I said, at the end, once this stream wraps up, I will link it in the description box below. All right, ladies and gents, who's ready for some honorable mentions? Who's ready for some honorable mentions? Um, and real quick, let me go ahead and remove that one. All right, guys. Yep. Time for some honorable mentions. Actually, so you know what's funny about this one? I actually only have like four. I only have like four real big honorable mentions. Because, like I said, there were multiple shows that I loved on Kids WB, but I'm sorry, I just got distracted by a comment. My man Eric asked, "Will you ever do a Return of the Joker watch along, a commentary?" I'd be down for it, man. I'd be down for it. Of course, you can make that happen. Become a patron, dude. You can request it, and we'll do the damn thing. But I'm glad you brought that up, because that is going to bring me to a. I got an announcement for everyone watching. An announcement at the end of tonight's broadcast. I have an announcement. I'm glad Eric reminded me. Okay, so yeah, going back to my honorable mentions. So honorable mentions, like I said, I only have about four, and like I said, it's because even though I loved, Kids WB, I love the whole programming block and a lot of the shows on there. When I'm thinking about favorites, I'm thinking about, shows I've seen in their entirety, shows I've seen multiple times, more than once, shows that I always go back to, things like that, right? And here's the thing about that. Um, the shows that are in my top 5 kind of fit that build. Once again, I don't really watch the Pokemon anime anymore, but I did. I rewatched, Indigo League multiple fucking times, right? YuGiOh, I don't really watch anymore, but I did. I would rewatch that show obsessively. I have seen Freakazoid probably over 25 times. I've seen Batman Beyond probably over 25 times, you know. And I always go back to those shows. I always go back to, well, I go back to Freakazoid and I go back to Batman Beyond. Not so much Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh. So anywho, so my honorable mentions are pretty much my other favorite shows that don't necessarily fit the bill to make it in the top five, right? And there's usually some reason, some circumstance that warranted that. So I'll give you an example. And yeah, and somebody just mentioned my number one on my honorable mentions list, Spectacular Spider-Man. Spectacular Spider-Man is number one on my honorable mentions list. Why? Because I did not watch it on Kids WB. I actually forgot Spectacular Spider-Man was a Kids WB program. I didn't watch it on Kids WB. I watched it on Disney XD. That's how I was introduced to Spectacular Spider-Man. And the thing is, like, I remember seeing the commercials for it. I think I caught clips of it, every now and then. But keep this in mind, dude. Like, Spectacular Spider-Man was airing on Kids WB when I was in college, so I wasn't even watching Kids W. Oh, to be fair, no, it was Spectacular Spider-Man. It was Legion of Superheroes and the Batman, right? Like, I would, like, if I caught them, then I would check it out. But if not, most of the time I was sleeping in on Saturday morning. You know what I mean? So yeah, my like official formal introduction to Spectacular Spider-Man didn't happen until years later when it was on Disney XD. So that's why I didn't include it on this list, because technically I didn't watch it on Kids WB. Next on my honorable mention, I'm pretty sure everyone can figure this one out. Superman the animated series. I love that series. Um, yeah, huge fan of that series. I don't really know what I could say about it that I haven't said already. If any of you guys have ever heard me ever talk about Superman, the animated series had a hand in that. Once again, Bruce, Tim, and Paul Dini, same team behind Batman the animated series. Really good. Really good show. So yeah, but so here's the thing about it though. As much as I love that series, I have not watched that series as much as I have the other shows on this list. I have seen it more than Spectacular Spider-Man, though. I have seen it more than Spectacular Spider-Man, but not as much as any of the top fives. So, next, let's see. What was another one? Jackie Chan Adventures is another one, because that was one of my favorite shows when it was airing. And same thing. I don't go back to it anymore. Not really. And I have not seen it as many times as some of the other series I just mentioned. But it's a cool, fun, quirky little series. One of my favorites growing up. I really liked it. I really dug it. I love the mythology that they developed for that series. I thought that was really cool. That series was actually how I learned what the Chinese zodiac was. I learned that from Jackie Chan Adventures. Yep, sure did. Sure did. Okay. Uh oh, one final honorable mention, and I forgot about this, but I am including licensed series. Card Captors. Card Captors. The anime adaptation of Card Captor Sakura. I was introduced to that on Kids WB. And and I remember because that series aired right when I was getting big into anime. Like pretty much I went through this phase where I was an anime sponge. If it looked like anime and it sounded like anime, I watched it, right? I was just taking it all in, sucking it all in, right? And yeah, yeah, Card Captors was during that time period where I was watching anything and everything anime. So yeah, I was always very fond of Card Captors because I liked it immediately. Once again, another series where I really dug the mythology. um I dug, the way the magic works, the way the cards work and the summonings and that whole thing. Like, I always dug Card Captors. Now, granted, I have not gone back and revisited it. I think I've actually revisited the manga more than the series. Um, because the dub isn't the greatest and whatnot. But yeah, Card Captors was my other honorable mention, definitely. Okay, you guys ready for the finale? You guys ready for the finale? Real quick, let me go ahead and recap for anybody joining us right now. So hang on, let me bring this in. All right, so real quick, just to recap, number 5 on my list was Freakazoid. Number 4 on my list was Pokemon. Number 3 on my list was Yu-Gi-Oh. Number 2 on my list was Batman Beyond. And I am curious. We're not going to do the challenge, right? We're not going to do the challenge like we usually do. But I want to see if anybody. Oh, dude, dude, dude. This man here has been on it all night long. He's been on it, man. Yeah, guessing all my picks. Yep, number one in my top 5. So my number one all time favorite kids WB show, none other than X Men Evolution. None other than X Men Evolution. Number one on my list. X Men Evolution. Oh man, it's feel free to throw your stones now. X-Men Evolution is my favorite X-Men animated series. It's my favorite one. Yep. And I know a lot of people are going to, trip out about that because, because X-Men the animated series is such a classic. And I like that series. Don't get me wrong. I like that series. But the thing is, X-Men Evolution had the same thing for me that Batman Beyond did. Like, because we went back, because we decided to sort of retell the story of the X-Men, right? We went back to basics. We de-aged all the characters. We made them teenagers again. We made them kids again. We used the movie as sort of like a visual influence, and then we kind of carved, our own sort of spin. Because, dude, here's the thing about that. This was the X-Men series of the 2000s, and everything about this series lends itself to that decade. So, like, X-Men the animated series is very much an animated series of the 90s, right? Referencing back and adapting material from the 80s, right? But this one felt grounded in the 2000s. It very much felt like a product of its time. Um and yeah, like I said, like this series, I felt like I grew up with these characters in this series. This series and so much of my like X-Men education actually started with this series, not with the animated series. So for an example, like I was vaguely familiar with Nightcrawler. I didn't know anything about Nightcrawler before this series. I was vaguely familiar with Mystique. I didn't know anything about Mystique before this series. Um, I didn't know who any of the New Mutants were before this series, right? Um, Let me see. Who was another one? I was vaguely familiar with Colossus. Didn't know anything about Colossus before this series. I'm trying to think of it. Oh, Scarlet Witch. This series was actually what introduced me to Scarlet Witch. Yeah, because um, cause I don't know if it wasn't that I didn't see any of her, or maybe I don't remember it, but like I had no frame of reference for Scarlet Witch prior to this series. And this, no, I did. I kind of knew about Quicksilver, but I didn't really know enough about Quicksilver before this series. Um, Let me see. I vaguely knew of Angel, but yeah, not a formal introduction to that character until this series either. Um, so yeah, like I, I just love. I always loved X Men Evolution. I always loved it. I have the entire series. I've seen it. Same thing. Like I've only gone back and like binged the series, I think twice. Oh nope, that's not true. That's not true. Because I used to watch it on Disney XD all the time because it used to come on after Spectacular Spider-Man. I used to yeah, so when the series was airing, I would always rewatch it. And then fast forward until like by the time I'm in college, it's on Disney XD now, so I'm rewatching it. And then I get my hands on the actual series, and I think I've binged it at least twice since I actually acquired the series. So, but yeah, I just love it. I just love it. It's great. It's a great show. Um, Very underrated. I'll be honest with you because when people talk about Marvel animated, they it seems like they don't never mention X-Men Evolution. And I'm like, dude, X-Men Evolution was a great series. It really was. It was a great series. All right, guys. So, unfortunately, I do have to. I got to end this one here, guys. I do. Unfortunately, I got to end this one here. Um, oh yeah, I forgot to share this image, dude. Just oh man, this image from the final episode, dude. Brings so many memories. So many memories. Such a good show. Such a good show. But yeah, so that is pretty much going to wrap up my top five favorite kids WB shows. I want to go ahead take this opportunity to thank everyone for watching live. Thanks everyone for watching after the fact. As always, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Share on social media. Share with anyone you think might get a kick out of it and whatnot. Be sure to follow me on social media, facebook.com/OAW Entertainment, twitter.com/OAWENTMT, twitch.tv/OAW underscore entertainment. Of course, right here on the main channel, youtube.com/OAW entertainment. And last but certainly not least, if you guys have any requests for any top fives that you want to see yourself, become a patron. Patreon.com/OAW. Select the top five tier. Okay. Speaking of Patreon. So I got a homework assignment that I got to do because I am guest starring on Hannibal and Monty's Shit Show. You can find their channel listed on my channel. Just go to OAW recommendations. You'll see them listed on there. I have been invited to go back to Hannibal and Monty's Shit Show. Shout out to them. I will be on there, I believe, this upcoming Wednesday, and we are going to be reviewing some comic book movies. That being said, some of these movies I have to watch for the first time and rewatch because it's been so long since I've seen them. One movie in particular I gotta watch. Y'all can probably figure out which movie that is. It's a dreaded bane of my existence. Never wanted it to be made. Never wanted to watch it. Never want to review it. Never I don't want anything to do with it. But because it is on the to-do list and because it is the required watching for said event, I have to bite the bullet and knuckle down and just get it done. So guess what, guys? I am currently planning two commentaries exclusively for Patreon. One is going to be tomorrow night, so one is going to be on Saturday night, one is going to be on Sunday night. And like I said, they are both going to be comic book movies. I won't spoil what they are just yet. Um, but yeah, one I have never seen before. The other I have only seen once, and I never want to see it again. But I'm gonna have to. So keep an eye out. I will only be doing announcements. Well, no, I will share it. I will share the Patreon announcement on social media, but of course the link will only be on Patreon. So if you want to join me for if you want to join, no, Trent, it's not either one of those. If you want to join me for the live commentary, become a patron. It will be available for just the $1 tier. As low as the $1 tier, it will be available on Patreon. So once again, patreon.com/OAW. That's going to be going down this weekend. Patreon exclusive commentaries coming at you. All right, guys, I have got to get out of here because I got to get something to eat. I have not eaten in hours. So with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander in Chief. I am signing off, and until next time, peace.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?